There is a truth most people are too afraid to admit. It doesn't matter how talented you are. It doesn't matter how hard you work. It doesn't matter how brilliant your ideas are. If no one is watching you, you don't exist. In the game of power, in the game of life, obscurity is the real death. Not failure, not rejection. Obscurity. Because you can recover from failure. You can learn from rejection. But from being forgotten, from never being noticed in the first place, there is no coming back from that. Robert Greene understood this deeply when he wrote Law 6 of the 48 Laws of Power. Court attention at all costs. Today, we are going to study two real human beings, two people who stood at the same crossroads. One embraced this law, completely, ruthlessly, without apology. The other ignored it and paid a price they never saw coming. Stay with me, because by the end of this, you will never look at attention the same way again. Part 1. Meet Sarah. Sarah was, by every objective measure, exceptional. She graduated top of her class from one of the most competitive design schools in the country. Her portfolio was clean, precise, visionary. Her professors called her work ahead of its time. She got a job at a mid-sized creative agency, and she put her head down. She worked harder than anyone in that building. Longer hours, better output, more detail. But Sarah had a philosophy, one she was quietly proud of. She believed that the work speaks for itself. She didn't go to the after-work drinks, too loud, too shallow. She didn't post her projects online, too self-promotional, too desperate. She didn't speak up in meetings, even when she had the best idea in the room. She didn't dress to be noticed, didn't network, didn't cultivate relationships with senior leadership. She just worked, quietly, brilliantly, invisibly. 3 years passed. A promotion opened up, the kind of role that comes once in 5 years. Creative director. The job Sarah had been silently building toward her entire career. She didn't get it. It went to Marcus, a man with half her talent and twice her visibility. Marcus, who cracked jokes with the CEO at company events. Marcus, who shared his work constantly, loudly, proudly. Marcus, who made sure every single stakeholder in that company knew his name, knew his face, knew his wins. Sarah was crushed. She went to her manager and asked why. And her manager said something that should have shaken her to her core. He said, "Sarah, honestly, when we were making this decision, your name didn't come up. Your name didn't come up. Not. You weren't good enough. Not. Marcus was more qualified. Your name didn't come up because no one was thinking about her. No one knew her story. No one felt connected to her journey. She had made herself invisible, and the world had simply obliged." Now let's understand what actually happened here. Sarah had internalized a disbelief, the belief that merit alone creates reward. This belief is seductive because it feels moral. It feels like the right way to live, humble, disciplined. Let the work do the talking. But here is the brutal psychological reality. Human beings do not reward merit they cannot see. They reward presence, familiarity, story, emotion. This is not a flaw in the system. This is how the human brain works. We are wired to trust what we can see, what we recognize, what we feel emotionally connected to. Sarah did not just fail to promote herself. She actively worked against the law of human psychology. She removed herself from the equation. She made the decision for people, the decision to overlook her. And in doing so, she handed her power to someone else. Marcus did not steal her promotion. Sarah gave it away. One invisible day at a time. The law is clear. A person who cannot be seen cannot be valued. Withdrawing from attention is not humility, it is self-erasure, and the world treated as permission. Part 2. Now let's go somewhere darker, somewhere stranger. Let's talk about a man who understood Law 6 not as a strategy, but as a religion. Salvador Dalí. By the time Dalí was in his 20s, he was already a skilled surrealist painter. But the art world in the 1920s was flooded with skilled surrealist painters. Talent was common, attention was not. Dalí understood something his peers did not. He understood that in a world full of artists, the art is not enough. The artist must become the art. So he constructed himself. He grew that absurd, waxed, upturned mustache, not because he liked it, but because no one could look away from it. It became a symbol so distinct, so bizarre, so uniquely him, that the image alone demanded attention. He moved through public spaces like a performance. He carried a jeweled skull. He arrived at parties with an anteater on a leash. He gave interviews designed not to inform, but to disturb, to provoke, to make people lean forward in their chairs. He once said, "The only difference between me and a madman is that I am not mad." He cultivated controversy deliberately. When his surrealist peers dismissed him, he didn't argue. He simply became more outrageous, more visible, more quotable, more undeniable. When he was expelled from the surrealist movement, he didn't plead. He didn't defend himself. He turned the entire affair into a public spectacle that generated more press than the movement ever had. He understood that negative attention and positive attention are the same currency. What matters is that people cannot look away. By the time Dalí was at the height of his career, he was not just the most famous surrealist in the world, he was the most famous artist in the world. And many of his peers, some with arguably superior technical skill, are footnotes, mentioned in textbooks, known only to specialists. While Dalí is a household name. Dalí is a cultural icon. Dalí is still talked about, still studied, still impossible to ignore, because he refused, absolutely refused, to be invisible. Now let's understand what Dalí actually did. What Dalí did was not madness, it was mastery. He understood a fundamental law of human psychology. We are drawn to the extraordinary. Our brains evolved in environments where noticing unusual things kept us alive. A strange shape, an unexpected movement, a sound that didn't belong. Attention is an instinct, and it gravitates toward what is different, what is bold, what it cannot immediately classify. Dalí weaponized this. Every choice he made was designed to disrupt the pattern, to force the brain to stop, look, and remember. He did not wait to be discovered. He made discovery inevitable. Notice also what he did not do. He did not shrink when criticized. He did not tone himself down to make others comfortable. He did not wait until he was ready to be seen. He chose visibility over safety. He chose being talked about over being liked. He understood that being ignored was the only true failure. This is the psychological principle at the heart of Law 6. Attention is not vanity. Attention is oxygen. Without it, even the most extraordinary thing withers and dies in the dark. With it, even the imperfect, the strange, the flawed, can conquer the world. So, what does this mean for you? Most of us are living like Sarah. Head down, working hard, waiting to be discovered, believing that if we just do enough, someone will notice. But the world does not work that way. The world is loud. The world is distracted. There are 1,000 other signals fighting for the same bandwidth. And silence, no matter how dignified it feels, is just more noise the brain learns to ignore. You don't have to become Dalí. You don't have to be outrageous. You don't have to perform. But you do have to be seen. You have to tell your story. You have to let people know what you stand for. You have to take up space, deliberately, consistently, unapologetically. Because here's the final truth. People cannot value what they cannot see. People cannot support what they don't know exists. People cannot choose you if your name never comes up. Court attention. Not for ego, not for validation, but because your work, your vision, your voice deserve to be witnessed. The world doesn't reward the best. It rewards the most visible. Now you know.